So I wanted to make a video about Gekko, but then in the process of trying to make that video, ended up just being very frustrated instead. Yes, I've had a haircut. Yes, they put some stuff in it, which means that it looks like this today. Deal with it. Deal with it. But we're talking about Gekko today because I wanted to talk about Gekko and his cooldown nerf in particular, right? So, for those of you who don't know, Gekko's cooldowns went from 10 to 20 seconds. Obviously, all of the initiators got some nerfs with their cooldowns, you know, like 40 to 60. But Gekko's 10 to 20, right? So that's like double. This is actually double the time. And if you think about, you know, going from 10 to 40, well, that's 4 times as big for this, right? But if you think about going 20 to 60, that's only 3 times as big for this. So obviously, like, ratio-wise, this is a lot worse for Gekko in terms of his cooldown. However, there is another way of looking at that, which is that the actual overall difference between 10 and 40 was 30 seconds, right? There was a 30 seconds difference here, whereas now, even after the nerfs, well, now there's a 40 seconds difference between Gekko's cooldown and a normal cooldown, and that is more than 30. So there are 2 ways of looking at that cooldown nerf, and that's what I kind of wanted to explore. Does the cooldown nerf actually impact Gekko nearly as much as you think it would? And so, to take a look at this, what I did was I decided, okay, let's take a look at champs, and let's take a look, did any teams, you know, play Gekko against each other? So I came to Bind here, and I found a game. It was Giants versus Zhilai, both teams, you know, and it went to OT, so we have quite, you know, both teams got a full attack side to look at as well, which is, you know, generally where the Gekko cooldown is going to be more important. And they're both playing Gekko, right? And we got a lot of rounds to look at. But in the process of looking at this game, I had a humongous problem, which was the Gekko usage in this game was atrocious. But before we get into that specific issue, let me just tell you what I was looking at for in this game, right? What I was trying to find in this game initially. And so here we are. It's round 3, Giants versus XLG. And this is just an example here where XLG are going to run down A, but we're actually going to take a look at Cloud on the defense side. So he's here over towards B, and he's actually going to throw his Dizzy through the TP. Right, so right now he's going to throw the Dizzy, there it goes, and he's going to come through the TP, and then he's going to pick up his Dizzy, and then at this point, now that he's picked up the Dizzy, I wanted to take a look, when does he next use the Dizzy, right? Is it between 10 and 20 seconds, i.e. therefore, you know, that nerf would matter because he needed the Dizzy, you know, at the 12-second mark, but now he would have to wait and he can't use it, or does it not matter, you know, and the 20-second cooldown wouldn't matter at all, right? And if we watch out this round, the way that this round plays out, you know, we see the XLG TP here. So actually, by the time Cloud gets on site, he's just going to end up rotating through spawn. And yeah, he doesn't need the Dizzy, right? He doesn't use it for like a good 30 seconds or so, right? So the cooldown nerf in this round for Cloud wouldn't have mattered. And that's what I was looking at in this game. But as I said, as I started to watch this game more and more and more, it dawned on me, this game is unusable, and now I'm just going to rant about it. And that's not to say, though, that it didn't ever happen. If you are wondering, it did happen sometimes. There were 6 instances in this game where the cooldown nerf for these 2 teams would have mattered, right? Let's take a look at one of them. It's here in round number 10, XLG on the attack side, where I would say this is where we get like an actual round of Gekko, right? We send out the Dizzy just there. We pick it back up. We're now going to use the Skydog to go down B long just here, as you can see. And then in a second, we're going to use the Dizzy again, right? Oh, look at this. Looky here. Here we go. Look at that. We send it with a Sky Flash and we use the Dizzy. Hey, good utility. That was one of the few instances that this happened in this game. But there you go. There is an example of that cooldown actually did matter for that specific example. And again, I'm not saying that there was no good Gekko play at all in this game. For instance, let's take a look at this where XLG are on the defense side now in round number 19. And we get a nice little Gekko ult trap play that ends with a couple kills.
Flickless, the next closest for the pit. On the other side, we have Happy Weight and Coconut. Look as if they're happy to stack up once more.
A mistake on the boombot, though, actually allows XLG to make a play like this.
So there you go. There was some good Gekko in this game, but we have to talk about Giants Gekko as well, because this is what you're going to truly find amazing, right? When I tell you that Cloud, attack side, we're at champs. We are at champs 2025. I'm going to tell you something that is about to shock you, so prepare yourself, okay? Get ready, prepare yourself. Cloud did not pick up a single ability in his entire attack side. And he had 13 rounds of that because it went to OT. And not once did he pick up a single ability. Now, I remember back in the day when Gekko was first getting played, making a video about a team, and they didn't pick up a single Gekko bit of utility throughout the entire game. And I was like, well, what's the point of playing Gekko then? Right? Just play Sky. Play whatever else, right? There's no need to play this agent because the whole point of this agent is that you have a lot of utility, but it's not necessarily that powerful on its own, right? That's the whole point of Gekko. Well, Cloud somehow in 2025, long after the fact, long after we've all played Gekko for quite some time at this point, still was doing that. And we got a lot of rounds that looked exactly like this one here, where what he's going to do is he's just going to send his Gekko utility into the site, and then he's going to leave. And look, I understand that this is just one round, so you won't get the full picture because it's like, oh, in this round, it's not necessarily that bad. But, you know, he sends his Dizzy over the top. Of course, he got no chance of picking that back up. He sends his Wingman in, you know, to just plant the spike. But here's the thing. He was constantly, anytime they went A and did this, it was always Cloud who would just come back here, right? And he'd just come back here with no util all the time, right? And I understand that this is like a fairly fast hit in this round, the one that I'm showing you right now. But just trust me. Go through this VOD and you will see a lot of rounds where Cloud is staring down. He does this job. This is his job. Any A exec they do, this is his job. I mean, he's Cloud, so he's good. He worked, you know, a fair amount of time because he's Cloud and he'll make anything work. But the actual Gekko usage, to me, it is not making much sense. And again, it's not like there wasn't opportunities in the way that they were making rounds work to actually get this Gekko utility online. Let's take a look at round number 24. So yeah, this was meant to be a very different video, but I've ended up just ranting about this game because I cannot believe this, right? So we sent Boombot down here, right? We want to scale up here. We want to scale, you know, come into this. I mean, you can't see it behind my head, but they send a mosh pit, you know, into kind of this area here, right? So we've mosh pitted this. We're about to come and take this, right? You know what would be good here? You know what I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm going to do. You know what I want him to do. Throw a Dizzy. Throw both the Wingman and the Dizzy. Why not? We don't. Why? We're scaling up in this area. Why are we not using it? Again, they're playing like solo Gekko here, right? They're playing solo initiated Gekko, which is pretty rare in and of itself. But you would think, like, if you're doing this, your priority would be like, hey guys, we got to make sure we're picking up this utility as much as we can in this comp. No. Dizzy. Why are we checking this corner blind? Why we wouldn't need to satchel. We've just wasted a satchel. It's free utility. There was a 10-second cooldown when you did this. Nothing. If I speak, what are we doing? We then chill here for the whole time, right? We're hoping that we're chilling here. We're hoping that people will rotate off that bit of noise. XLG don't, of course. So now we're trying to, like, pause and so, like, we're going to go back to B. These guys are going to TP in a second, by the way, and come into the stronger side of the map. I don't know why they would think XLG would move, or even if XLG did move, like, after this long pause. I mean, they very well might come back to A anyway. We then come in to do this A exec. Again, I'm just going to show you. At no point has anyone been in shower, right? Let's just watch from the start of the round. So here's our Astra here, right? We'll play you through the whole round. No, take a look at what's going on in shower. There's nothing. No attacker has seen this, right? They get to this part. What do you think they do? Well, I'll tell you. There's no util. They just run in here. We use our second satchel there to check this corner. Instead of, I don't know, this ability that we've been holding on to the entire time. Both of them. I mean, both of them could clear that. Now they end up winning this round. Such is the way for the Valorant gods to punish me. They end up winning this game as well, Giants, by the way. So they end up, you know, clutching out this one and then winning an OT as well in a 4v5. There's the Dizzy. I mean, hey, we did use it. You know, that's good. And then I think in this round, he almost thinks about picking it up for the first time in the entire game, but doesn't quite manage it just there. But I just think, like, this really did make me think, like, why are you playing Gekko? Why are you playing solo Gekko when you could just play Sky if you're not going to pick up any of the utility? But now let's kind of try and return, if we can, back to what this video was meant to be about. And that is whether this nerf will actually matter, because there's something that Gekko, I think, There's something about Gekko that I think maybe annoyed teams, or that teams, like, the reason that they don't maximize, like, Gekko picking up and using the util all the time is because there's this thing about, you know, being quiet and loud, right? Like, oftentimes you'll want to play slow. You won't want to necessarily give away where you are, right? So you don't need to be sending the Dizzy out every 10 seconds because you want things to be quiet, right? You want things to not constantly be going on, constantly making noise. You want to have situations like this, right? So if you think about this round, what's just happened, you know, Giants have kind of been loud in here, right? We're picking up ult orbs, we're diving in here with our rays, right? We're putting a deadlock center down, we're making noise, right? But now we let things go quiet, right? And in these moments, of course, you know, we're hoping to confuse the defenders. We're hoping to make them feel like we could be going either way, right? They send out a sky flash to get some information. Okay, you know, like, we're keeping them on their toes, right? In these quiet moments. One of the reasons that you might not play Gekko, right, is because you aren't getting that use of the cooldown for these moments. They aren't that important. But in a 20-second cooldown, again, this is like, in these sorts of rounds, this kind of thing doesn't matter as much. In most instances, the way that most pro teams play, if they are going to play slow, it probably doesn't matter that much, right, on their attack side. Now, on defense side, it can matter a bit more because you're less in control. You know, pacing of the game, the timing of the game is generally going to be more, you know, determined by the attackers. So in that sense, you know, obviously it does matter a bit more because you're not as in control of the game as a whole, but it probably didn't matter as much as you might have thought. Right, the Gekko, the nerf that he actually got, I probably don't think that it is as important because in a lot of situations, those quiet moments that you want normally don't last 10 seconds. They normally will at least last 20 seconds when you go quiet. You will go quiet for a period of 20-ish seconds. So actually, in that sense, it hasn't really hurt him maybe as much as you would have thought. But also, I just watched a game where our team didn't pick up a single Gekko bit of utility on their attack side, and I just had to talk about it.